This is one of those areas where critics, they have a field day, but if you just think about it for 2 seconds, their arguments don't make any sense.
Can't keep quiet when you start a riot.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ward Radio. I'm your host, Cardinellis. Today I'm joined in the studio by Brittany the Shadow, as well as by Tikla Fife and Austin Fife, author of this book, The Light and Truth Letter, which is kind of the first written counterpunch, I would say, to the online disinformation and misinformation that kind of is toxically heaped upon the church. One specifically, the CES letter, but then you name some like podcasts. You name names, bro. It's hardcore. So I was suggested a title, Light and Truth Letter Counterpunches. So I love that the Light and Truth Letter actually finally counterpunches against some of these arguments. What are some of your favorites, and which ones have kind of risen to the top?
Yeah, I sent some of them to you in the Discord.
This Discord. Okay, I'll put them up. Okay. Yeah, right. Keep going.
Thanks, by the way, for the merch.
Oh yeah, you're looking good, bro.
It was worth coming back. I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so Light and Truth. Light and Truth. Gosh, I'm totally botching the Light and Truth Letter. Wow, say that fast five times. Counterpunches. Okay, which is your favorite? Which one should I pull up? I got the Discord in front of me. Which one?
Honestly, pull up any of them and we'll go through them. There's a bunch of them. These are kind of like some of my favorites.
What am I doing on this meme? Like, holy smoke, I'm looking at this. Who made this one? Did they pull this off the Discord?
This is a Jonah special.
Everybody has a plan. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Arden, you look good.
Yeah, thank you, babe. Thank you. No double chin in that one right there. No double chin in that one. Yeah, they had to get a picture from a long time ago for that one.
That picture is not in the Light and Truth Letter, but I do endorse it.
That's funny. All right, so here we go. This is the first one that I see inside of the Discord, and it looks like it's a screenshot. Some people sent these our way. I guess these are the ones that impacted people the most, and I guess they want to share them. So let's just start talking with this one. Good starting point right here.
Yeah. So there's a section in the Light and Truth Letter called The Finances of the Church. The church being really well off and doing really well makes some people uncomfortable. And our critics capitalize on the success of the church to then insinuate a number of things. And what I want folks to do is do a little bit of critical thinking. And so I think that this question hopefully will bubble that to the surface, that, there's 100 or so church leaders that they make a modest salary. And then some other church leaders, like mission presidents, can opt to receive a stipend for living expenses. Do you have a question?
Yeah. I was going to say, but so we have no paid clergy.
Yeah.
Because it's part of our faith that we don't have we don't have a paid ministry, right? That's priestcraft.
Right.
But if you do get to a point where your volunteerism in the church literally is so high that it precludes your ability to even pay for and support your family, we don't actually have salaries. Isn't what we give just a stipend? If they want to accept it, it's on the table, and it's basically just according to the Congressional Business Office's economic stress threshold of the state of Utah. I think it's only like $120,000, which is like what a high school administrator makes or something.
I've heard kind of different numbers. The church doesn't release those numbers, so we don't know it exactly, but it's certainly not millions of dollars per year. They've defined it as a modest salary. And so, the point is a church leader doing all this for all that cash, baby? In their 60s and 70s, they've worked tirelessly for decades in their wards and their stakes, serving countless hours, thankless, and receiving criticism and all the things that it takes to be a church leader. Did they really do that for decades so that they could make a modest salary in their 80s to then work 7 days a week? I don't think so. And that's what this part of the letter or this question in the letter identifies.
And this has always been an argument that has always super bothered me, just because when your volunteerism starts requiring so many hours per week, like bishops are the most thankless, it's the most thankless job in all of the church. I think you're in charge of the local congregation. You're the first line of defense for everything from domestic disputes to some guy lost his job to a tree fell in John Daly's driveway, and now you have to call the elders quorum to come and move it because he's got to go to work. Right?
And now they're in charge of the young men's too.
Yeah, and now they're in charge of the young men's. Like we just heap more and more on these poor guys, right? And they serve so dutifully, and they've all talked about the blessings God has given him, and they do it willingly. But supposedly the job is crafted to take no more than 25 hours a week. Meanwhile, anybody that's served is like, oh, you want to magnify that calling real quickly? It could become 40 if you wanted it to. So you literally have men that for 4 or 5 years are working like 2 full-time jobs. Now, it's worth it to them. They welcome the blessings. They welcome the opportunity to serve their fellow men. They love it. But to get higher than that requires so much travel, requires so much, like you literally cannot work. Like if we put you in charge of, you're the apostle over Eastern Asia.
Right.
Sorry, you can no longer be a State Farm insurance broker on the side. Well, so we have to give you something to live on, or else are we requiring the impoverishment of your entire family? Do we have to make them beggars? Like what?
Well, and the other thing too is you can't aspire to become a church leader. You can't earn it. You can't lobby for it. You can't.
There's no corporate ladder.
Yeah, there's no corporate ladder, right? You are called to it. Maybe even against your will potentially. And so this is one of those areas where critics, they have a field day, but if you just think about it for 2 seconds, their arguments don't make any sense. So that's this kind of one part of the Light and Truth letter out of.
And I would add too, I've always thought, I don't think this is in the letter, but I've always thought that if we didn't do something like this, then we would actually make it impossible for someone who doesn't make enough money to live on nothing,
right,
to have those leadership opportunities. So it would make it so that only the very wealthy could be leaders of the church, which is not what we want. And so
like
that too.
I think it's like only 4 of the 12 apostles we've had of the past like 14 or 15 have actually accepted the living stipend. Boyd K. Packer was one of them. Why? Because his profession before he was called to be an apostle was literally a CES instructor making like 20 grand a year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Now Razband, he comes in and he's like a financial broker guru worth like tens of billions of dollars or whatever.
Stevenson's even worse.
Yeah. Stevenson's making bank. Like, so he didn't need it. They take it, they donate it to charity. Just like, Donald Trump famously donated his salary to charity because he's like, oh, I don't need it. I think Barack Obama his last year, I think did the same because by that time he was making enough movies from pre-sales of books he hadn't written or whatever. He probably didn't need it either. It's a common thing to give a leader because in the third world, they do it to keep them from becoming corrupt and taking mafia money, Right. But also I always ask, well, what's the alternative? Like, what is the alternative? If you find out that in the Florida area, there's this phenomenal fitness instructor and a public educator who is just would be the next greatest area authority or leader for that area or whatever. And you've been inspired to call him. He's got a fresh perspective. He's got really good ideas. He's passionate about the cause. Okay, but you're going to now give him a position in our church that requires him to volunteer 6-7 days a week. Well, now he can't show up to the school that he was getting paid to teach at, and he can't show up to the gym he was getting paid to be a fitness instructor at. You've destroyed his finances. So you morally, I think it actually would be considered immoral not to offer the stipend. And so, I'm glad you tackle this. Is this kind of one of the number one things that they go after you for that they don't like, or no?
I don't know if it's the number one thing. I mean, the Light and Truth letter is just all the different things that troubled me when, I was going through my faith journey. And when I put on my critical thinking cap, this is kind of the end result. It's like me thinking through all these different, issues. And this is just the part of the finance section.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. The last thing I'll put up here is I liked your quote that said, what do critics think? Church leaders serve tirelessly for countless years in local wards and stakes, countless hours, hoping they get called to a general authority so that finally, after decades of selfish service, they'd get that sweet, sweet cash from a modest salary. I think you meant selfless service.
I think so too. Wow.
Hey, did we just
Caught it in real time.
Caught it in real time. That's funny. It's all good. I think everybody that reads it knows what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Shouldn't the critics ask why we call not volunteer people in their 60s and 70s to work 6 days a week for long hours for a modest salary? Isn't that elder abuse? Shouldn't we be making more? Why are there more petitions from critics demanding that the general authorities have more days off? It is so true. I absolutely love this. Now, I will say, I think that's true of 9 out of 10 church leaders. But we all know that punk.
It's coming,
gunning.
guys. It's coming.
We all know that.
Oh no, where's this going?
We all know that one punk that's gunning for the red chair.
Oh,
there's
but
always
they don't
that
get it.
one. I know they never do.
How
Names,
to guarantee
Carden,
you will
names.
not get called as a Relief Society president?
Okay.
Want to be the Relief Society president, and then you won't get called.
Yeah, I'll give you names, but I don't want to give you names because he's my. And then it would get back to me that, no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to bleep that out. I'm totally going to bleep that out, dude. But in fact, I'm writing down bleep out at 11:39. Bleep out.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a big fat edit right here. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yes, by and large, these are very honest and good and noble men. And there is no real financial reward.
Right.
It is, in my opinion, one of the most perfect aspects of the organization of the church is that they have neutered all financial rewards from church leadership. There's really nothing in it for you. And anybody that tries to say like, oh, well, there's this 1-2 punch. You can get somebody to ghostwrite a book that can get sold in a regional bookstore, Deseret Book, that has like 20 locations that only the oldest of old ladies getting extra cookbooks and Pioneer gizmos might stumble upon. Like there's no blue sky in church leadership.
Yeah,
it is service.
Critics are envious, jealous of the church's wealth, and they use that energy to then accuse the leaders of something nefarious, right? But it's like, I mean, come on, where is all that money going?
Who is benefiting?
Who is benefiting, right? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Can't keep quiet when you start a riot.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. We assume if you made it this far that you liked our content, so please make sure you like this video and you share it with your friends. Now, in order to keep this content flowing freely, we need your help. If you're a person of means, please check us out on Venmo, the Cash App, or Zelle and consider a direct contribution to the channel. Or you could always go to WardRadio.com and sign up for our newsletter there and receive all of our latest Ward Radio news articles directly to your inbox. And while you're there, maybe consider purchasing some merch. We have some really cool hats, some really cool shirts, so you can strut your stuff and support the channel that way. Or if you're a kind of person that wants to just help out with some of the equipment in the studio, we have an Amazon wish list linked in the description as well. And don't forget scripturenotes.com. You have to read your scriptures daily, and scripturenotes.com is frankly the coolest way to study your scriptures, and they're a very generous sponsor of this channel. So please consider a free trial with scripturenotes.com. The link to Scripture Notes will also be in the description of this video. Either way, whether you're pressing this little button right here to subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends, or whether you are actually hitting this button right here just to watch another video, we look forward to seeing you in the next program.